File-based agents eliminate glue code and make the structure of your project clearer by giving you a way to add capabilities to your Mastra agents just by dropping files in particular folders. For example, to define an agent called assistant, I make a folder called assistant. I drop in the system instruction and a config.ts file that tells the agent which model to use. Right now, there's not a lot going on. There's no memory, there's no tools, there's certainly no skills. To add memory, I'll just go into the assistant folder that represents the agent and add a memory.ts file. Cool, now memory's enabled. We can see the chat list. Let's give this agent a tool by creating a folder called tools and a new file whose name is the name of the tool. So in this case, we'll call it knowledge search.ts. Now, if I go back to Studio, you can see the knowledge search tool is registered and I can search it for Acme. Okay, now I want to give my agent a workspace. To do that, I create a new folder called workspace. And in it, I'm going to create some seed data. For example, acme policy.txt. I'll just paste some dummy policy. Yeah, and check this out. The agent now has all these workspace tools. We can ask it to read acme policy from workspace. And because we created that seed folder, any new workspaces will have those files available to them. And I think now you see the idea. Look how fluid this is. And for coding agents, it's even easier because they can just look at the tree as the most direct representation of the project structure. You know, any feature we support in Mastra, you can now add using this file-based structure. One of my favorites, and I think is a big unlock, is skills. For example, I'll create a new folder called skills, and then I'll open it in the integrated terminal. So we're currently in the skills directory, and I'm going to use the skills npm package to add a skill called humanize. This takes LLM outputs and makes it sound like a human plausibly wrote it. Okay, the skill is downloaded. I'm going to move it to the top level. I'm going to move it into a top level folder. There's probably a way to do that just using the CLI, but check this out. We now have the humanizer skill. And if I ask it to humanize policy using humanizer, it should activate the skill, applies the skill, and then we'll get the output in a more natural way. In fact, it's even been so helpful as to write it to the file. The other really exciting things here are that we could create a registry of tools, a little bit like shadcn, right? Or a registry of agent templates. And the tool, in this case shadcn, could just drop them into the file system very easily without the need to wire stuff up. The other very exciting idea is if you've ever used something like Hermes or OpenClaw, you can actually prompt the agent to improve itself. And so now, if you were to give your Mastra agent coding agent capabilities, which, not to spoil too much, but we have this hidden create coding agent helper, not yet properly documented. Well, now you could start to prompt the agent to improve itself in real time just by editing and updating the files. It doesn't have to concern itself with the glue parts. Very powerful, very cool. To use it, head to the docs and read a bit more about file-based agents.